Have you ever thought about the future of housing in Nigeria? That even after previous government promised that it will provide housing for all by the year 2000, 18 years after the promise, so many Nigerians still lack good accommodation. What are the challenges in providing safe and affordable housing for all? My advocacy on this program is to ensure that Nigerians have access to affordable, quality and decent housing. I'll not relent in my effort in passing across this message. You're watching Housing Development with your housing diva, Flora. Let's see the trending news in the sector.
The United Nations Human Settlement Program, UN Habitat, has signed an agreement for the city of Abu Dhabi to host the 10th session of the World Urban Forum, WUF 10, in 2020. The forum will examine the impact of rapid urbanization and its implication for social, economic, and environmental policies in communities, cities, and towns. The Kogi state government has made available 37,000 hectares of land for the construction of affordable houses for workers. Governor Yahaya Bello announced this at the groundbreaking of the scheme in Lokoja. He said 10 billion naira has been set aside for the 1,200 housing units to be built for workers in the state. The governor stated that the initiative was in partnership with the organized labor, comprising the Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, and the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association. The Housing Development Advocacy Network, an NGO, says it will hold town hall meetings for party candidates to address housing stakeholders and electorates on their agenda for housing and construction sector. The president of the group, Barrister Festus Adebayo, said it is apt to engage politicians vying for various positions in the forthcoming election on their housing agenda. He called on all presidential aspirants to state clearly what they have in store for the Nigeria housing industry, as he says that the sector is too big to be neglected.
There is no better time than now to engage party candidates to address housing stakeholders and electorate on the agenda for the housing sector. A good move there by the Housing Development Advocacy Network. You can read up the full details of the news flash on www.housingnews.org.ng. Every day we hear of affordable housing in Nigeria, but the big question is, how affordable are these affordable houses? For an average Nigerian that earns 800,000 naira annually, can he afford to buy a house that is tagged affordable? That is the focus of this report.
Affordable housing has been defined as housing which is deemed affordable to those with a median household income. Generally, the term affordable housing describes housing, whether rented or owned, that is affordable at different income brackets. Most nations regard housing costs to be affordable at below 30% of one's income, and this includes Nigeria.
Affordable housing means different things to different people. It includes homes that are sustainable, beautifully designed, professionally managed, and connected to services. Although the term is often applied to rental housing that is within the financial means of those in the lower income ranges of a geographical area, the concept is applicable to both renters and purchasers in all income ranges. Due to the economic standard in Nigeria today, housing that is affordable to the lowest income continues to shrink. The concentration of housing needs among the poorest families continues to rise.
Until you know what the median income is, that is when you can now start planning for affordable housing. So it's a relative term. It is very complex. You know, a 2-bedroom house, like you said, can be affordable to me and not affordable to you.
Affordable housing, however, is not only a compelling concern of the very poor. One need not to be poor at all to realize that housing costs are high, or that the housing choices open to people with low or moderate incomes are often limited at best.
If you earn XYZ 1,000 naira and above, then you do not qualify for affordable income. And then the threshold really is that your housing payment should not exceed 33.3% of your total income. You know, that's not going to change.
A civil servant who makes 750,000 naira per year cannot afford a 10 million naira affordable house. So the question is, why build it?
Rental housing, which many people have not focused on, government can equally play a role here. You can designate certain areas just for rentals. So the houses are built, but the rent is controlled with a tie to the cost of living index.
In the United States and Canada, a commonly accepted guideline for housing affordability is a housing cost that does not exceed 30% of households' gross income. Housing costs considered in this guideline generally include taxes, insurance for owners, and utility costs. When the monthly carrying cost of a home exceeds 30 to 35% of household income, then the housing is considered unaffordable for that household.
You can have the government setting the right policies and creating incentives for the stakeholders and actors to come into the sector and become more active. This they can do through providing infrastructure in all these places, so that developers can come in easily and develop their houses. They can do private partnership, where the government can provide the land and the developers can build, and then government can regulate the prices at which these houses are sold.
Therefore, affordable housing is still a long way and an illusion to lower and middle class Nigerians. The government should therefore provide affordable housing to Nigerians, either by increasing the number of units built, by facilitating of an enabling environment for easy and low-cost mortgage facilities for the ordinary Nigerian, including support for housing initiatives and investments by householders, small-scale providers, and entrepreneurial firms.
According to statistics, 51% of Nigerians live in rented accommodation. There should be a strong push by the government to focus on providing quality and low-cost mass housing for low-income earners who are aspiring to be homeowners. Still talking affordable housing, a groundbreaking ceremony of the National Affordable Housing Project, financed by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to provide affordable housing units for civil servants in the southeast region, was held recently at Ubani Housing Estate in Uzuakoli, Abia State. Watch this. In addressing the housing plight of Nigerian workers, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has begun construction of pilot phase of low-cost housing program for Nigerian civil servants nationwide. Mr. Ahmed Dangiwa, the Managing Director of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, reiterated his commitment to urgently address the housing needs of Nigerian workers by providing affordable housing across the country. He made this known on Tuesday in Ubani during the groundbreaking ceremony of the National Affordable Housing Project for Nigerian workers in Abia State, being developed by Trademore, a real estate development company. Speaking during the ceremony, Governor Okezie Ikpeazu thanked the FMBN for using Abia as a pilot state for the housing project. He also extended his thanks to Engineer Emmanuel Mbaka for his intervention in the housing sector.
We want to seize this opportunity to thank the federal government for their confidence in our administration, which is probably part of why they have found it necessary from time to time to use Abia as a pilot state. Our commitment to this project is that we will do everything to provide the ambience, to provide the environment and support that is needed to ensure that this particular project is completed and accomplished in record time. I want to thank our brother and our friend, Nigerian, for his intervention in the housing sector, not only in Abia State, but in Nigeria as a whole. Indeed, we thank you as a worthy ambassador of our state, and you continue to feature in our prayers, even as we pray to support you socially and psychologically.
The governor of Abia State, supported by the Managing Director of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and the Chairman of Trademore, Engineer Emmanuel Mbaka, after cutting the ribbon as a sign of declaring the groundbreaking ceremony open, jointly laid the foundation stone of the housing estate.
This is one of those efforts that the federal government has put in place towards making housing available to Nigerian workers. Abia State is indeed grateful and happy to be one of the states selected among the 6 geopolitical zones to anchor this project. Our great President Muhammad Buhari, has a vision of creating affordable housing for Nigerian workers. And this is one of those programs that they have put in place.
The housing program, which goes by the theme National Affordable Housing Delivery Program for Nigerian Workers, is a product of a partnership between the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and the labor unions, aimed at building and delivering decent, safe and quality houses for Nigerian workers at prices they can afford.
My name is Chief Dr. A.C. Okafo, Chairman of Chikasim Group. So my message to Nigerian workers is to keep on watching housing program.
Glad to know you're still with me. As a result of the high cost of housing in Nigeria, majority of Nigerian population are forced to rent, and with the low regulatory monitoring regarding rentals and sales of property, landlords and estate agents dictate the market. Would it be right for the government to regulate house price in the country? Take a listen.
Let us have some level of regulation in the industry. Let us know what we need. Let us know the best practices in other jurisdictions. Based on that, we will be able to draw what should guide our own practices.
Regulation is quite necessary, but there are so many ways by which you can regulate the situation. You may not likely to do it unilaterally. There are so many other stakeholders, so many institutions. They can all come together based on statistical data. Then it's easier for government to regulate, and when that regulation is done, it will be quite acceptable to everybody, you understand?
The role of government in regulating is to do with the standards. You know, what goes into the construction, what makes a building sustainable in terms of the ecosystem and all of those aspects. Those are important. But to regulate the market in terms of prices is usually unusual. It should be an open market, not something that is regulated. Of course, government construction would be regulated in terms of price by the government, but the private sector's construction will be left to the private sector.
You can't regulate. All those prices are based on market forces, buying and selling. Like if you buy cement from the manufacturer at 1,000 naira per bag, when you are going to resell it, will you sell it at 800 naira? So it's from what cumulative you use in putting up a structure. When you want to sell it, you want to make your gain. You consider how much you have invested, how much you have put in.
You can follow the conversation on the Facebook page with the link below. Let's get to know where you live and how much you pay as rent. Is the rent affordable? While you're still trying to do that, let's seek the views of some Abuja residents.
I live around Duse Zone 6. The rent is 250,000. That's a one-bedroom flat. So the amount I'm paying there is on the high side.
I live in Kuba Ferrasi. In day for boys quarter, I pay 150,000 to 200,000. Now that I don't marry with children, I'm looking for a bedroom, one bedroom now. A bedroom now they are telling me 400 to 450,000. And despite that, agents will collect their own 20% or 10%.
I live at Kado, close life camp. I pay 150. It's not that the house is too good.
I live in Jai. Formerly, I was paying 140,000. The government should try and provide area for the poor people so that they'll be able to live Abuja comfortably.
I stayed in Papi, that is a section of Metama. The first house I got, which is just a small place with just one bedroom, it goes for about 250,000. So, and we migrated from that to another one, which is about 400,000.
developing countries, housing represents the main wealth of the poor. Those who cannot afford to buy should at least afford a reasonable rent payment for a house. I had a chat with the founder of Women Housing Plan Initiative. Join me after the break. Welcome back. The program is still Housing Development, and with me in the studio is Hajia Binta Ibrahim. She's the first female VP of Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, RIDAN, Northwest Zone, and also the initiator of Women Housing Plan Initiative. Good to have you on the program, Hajia.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Tell us about the Women Housing Plan Initiative. What's this initiative all about?
Women Housing Plan is an initiative for family in particular. The name Women should not scare anybody. It is a family affair. It came into being 2007. The sole aim of the association is to come together as women and tackle the housing problem in Nigeria as it affects the women.
For the site and services and program, I understand you're having a groundbreaking ceremony.
Yeah. So
when is this coming up?
On the 30th of October, inshallah, yes.
And the venue for the groundbreaking?
The project site, which is Tungamaje Zuba, that's behind the Federal College of Education.
I know women listening right now, watching you will be so much interested to know, how do I own a plot of land at the Unity Hills residence? So how can they go about it?
It's very easy. It's simple. First and foremost, we sell it only to our members. So you start with obtaining your form, which is 10,000 naira, and choose your plot. If you're going for the 400 or the 600, kickstarts with 80,000, you're good to go. We're inviting everybody to come on the 30th of October from 10 a.m. It's an open day. We're there till Mama calls, if that's if I can use that language. There are lots of other side attractions, so we're inviting everybody. It's not just for women. Men are also invited.
All right, thank you so very much, Hajia Binta Ibrahim, for coming.
Thank you so much.
All right, I've been speaking with Hajia Binta Ibrahim. You've heard it all. The groundbreaking ceremony will be happening on the 30th of October 2018. So you've got to be there to own a piece of land. I'll see you right after this time out. Don't go anywhere.
Urban Shelter Limited has to its advantage an immense reserve of resources and experience which give it the ability to effectively plan, develop and manage properties for individuals, private organizations, state and federal government establishments while strategically positioning the company to consolidate its activities across Nigeria, Dubai and the entire West African sub-region. For more than 20 years, we have helped Nigerians rediscover the dream of home ownership, the aspiration of turning a house into a home. We've built houses so our clients can transform them to welcoming homes and safe havens in a secure location. No wonder recently the brick city developed by Urban Shelter was one of the estates visited by the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola. The estate is managed by Sadia Aminu Aliyu, the Chief Operating Officer, who has always been a game changer in every position she occupied. We are proud to say for many Nigerians, Urban Shelter has turned that dream of owning a home into a reality.
Thanks for keeping a date. Remember to follow us on all our social media platforms. If you miss any part of today's program, you can watch the full episode and previous ones on the YouTube channel Housing TV Africa. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you soon. I remain Flora, your Housing Diva.